Crystal. I'm one of the leaders in training in the Truth, Freedom, and Health movement. Today, we're excited to bring you a citizens discussion forum featuring our incredible warrior scholars from Nebraska. So welcome to all of our amazing participants. We'll just kind of go around here and name some of the people. We have Abigail and Tony, and we have Phil, Mary, Ski, and Barry. And the purpose of today's forum is to hear from real people, regular, hardworking individuals just like you. So this isn't about elites and celebrities. It's about inspiring others through our bottoms-up movement powered by everyday working people from around the world. So we're going to ask some questions. We'll start with Abigail. Can you share your journey with us, who you are, and where you're from?
I'm Abigail, and I live in Hastings, Nebraska, and I have 4 kids that range from ages 11 down to 3 years old. And my older 2 kids are school age, so I homeschool both of them full time. And I'm also a CrossFit level 2 trainer at a local gym, and I have been working as a trainer there for over 10 years. And I coach adult classes, teens classes, and kids classes. So that's something I really enjoy doing. And I also help coach some of my kids' activities as well, their sports like soccer. So all those things keep me pretty busy day to day.
Sounds like you have a full schedule that will keep your hands full. That's great, Abigail. You're definitely a hero of mine. And so it's inspiring. So you have Tony there with you. So we might as well go straight to Tony. Tony, same question. Can you share just a little bit of your journey with us about who you are and where you're from?
Yep. Tony Lauders, also in Hastings, Nebraska. I've been teaching middle school, 7th grade math and high school math the past 10 plus years, as well as coaching a variety of sports teams, as well as football, basketball, baseball. My son, our oldest, is 11, so I've been following his grades and coaching him in his variety of activities. I've also spent 5 years as a CrossFit level 1 trainer and actively participate in that myself. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, thank you too, Tony. It was great having both of you here. I love couples in our movement, where you can show that the family is actually together on the same page, with not even just their daily activities, with work life and family life, but even going into the political and health and all the other things in life that are important for couples. So it's great to see you guys on the same team on every level. So we'll go on to Phil. I'm gonna bounce around.
I'm Phil Thompson. I'm in Papillion, Nebraska. I've been in Nebraska for since 1987. Grew up in the Midwest, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, and a short stint in Phoenix. I'm a husband, a father of 3 boys. We're brand new empty nesters, with one in college in Lincoln, and the other 2, one is in the Netherlands and one is in Nashville. And I'm a pilot for Southwest Airlines. I'm a musician turned pilot because I wasn't making any money playing music. So I had to do something. So I've been a professional pilot for just over, almost 3 decades now, and still playing music. And yeah, happy to be here.
Thank you, Phil. I can say your music's good. I've listened to it, but they make it hard for artists, right? So
Yeah.
you got a big family to take care of. All right, we're going to mix around. We're going to go to Barry. I know that possibly, Barry, you might have to run at some time, so I might have should have started with you.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Yeah, my name is Barry, and I live in Kearney, Nebraska, but I grew up just a little bit south of Chicago. So all but 1 year I've been in Nebraska since 1988. We have 6 children, 22 to 32, and yeah, we're empty nesters too now. It's pretty recent as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you very much, Barry. It's very cool. And we'll go to Mary.
Hi, I'm Mary Lusk. I live in Omaha, Nebraska, originally from Michigan, Battle Creek. And I've been here since 95, came to work for Kellogg's, fish out of water for sure. So I've raised an amazing son, have 2 grandchildren, and always been interested in health and working on that, and involved in the union, different positions there. I'm retired now and spent the last 6 years of my mom's life taking care of her, which was an honor to really make a difference in her life and health and happiness. So
Thank you very much, Mary, for sharing that. And I will go to Ski.
Hello, my name is Ski. I'm a husband and a father and a grandfather. I live in Omaha, Nebraska. My wife is Crystal. Our son is Trey, who helps a lot with the movement. And I am in the auto industry. I've been doing that for 23 years. And that's really about it. Just basically work and hang with the family.
Awesome. Thank you. And I will go ahead and just say a little short something about myself. I'm Crystal. I live in Omaha, Nebraska. I was born and raised here. I own and operate property here in Omaha, and I'm a jewelry designer. And Trey, so we just for the sake of time, Trey is also helping facilitate this discussion, and Trey is obviously in Omaha as well. We're in the same house right now. We're just in different rooms. So we have to function from different devices for this. So, all right. And let's see here. Next up, we're going to kind of start that whole round robin there again, and we'll go straight to Abigail. Abigail, how did you first get involved with Truth, Freedom, and Health movement? And what was it that motivated you to join, and why are you a part of this?
Well, I first came across Dr. Shiva's work in 2020, and it was just online, I think, on Instagram or Twitter that I came across some of his information. And since we've been involved a lot with CrossFit, we are interested in health and wellness and eating the right things and putting the right things in your body. So that was what we were interested initially in with his work, because he focuses so much on whole person wellness, foods that you can eat to stay healthy, your mind, your gut, different things like that. So that was initially our interest in the Truth, Freedom, Health, and the work that Dr. Shiva has done. But I just kept reading his information online. We listened to some of his podcasts. And last year, we signed up to do the Truth, Freedom, Health and the Warrior Scholar program. And we both went through that together and just learned a lot about systems in the United States, especially the political ones. And from there, just decided to jump in and get involved with his run for president and do what we could here in Nebraska to try to help out. We talk a lot about with our kids, like, you don't think that maybe you're making a big difference worldwide or nationwide, but you at least have to try to do something and try to be a difference even in your community where we live. And so I feel like as parents, it's really important for us to walk the walk. So, we're not in Massachusetts with Dr.SHIVA, but we decided that in Nebraska, we can do what we can to try to help his campaign. So yeah, last November, we just jumped in and decided to try to do what we could to elect him as president.
And we were so excited that you came. So thank you very much. And we'll go straight to Tony. And same question, Tony, and I know it's going to be very similar to Abigail's, obviously. So, but do you guys even remember who found Dr.SHIVA first out of you two? Who caught wind first? Who was the one who said, oh no, we're going to jump on this open house tonight? Who went and registered? Maybe you can just give some more details on that, since it's probably really similar. Or if there was something else that motivated you to join outside of the health aspect, like Abigail was saying initially.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to, is she discovered it before I did. I hadn't even heard about Dr.SHIVA, and she had been following him on social media and was kind of starting to tell me some things. And I was like, yeah, I know, I totally agree with what you're saying here. And so that got me interested with the health thing, just because the things that he was saying are lined up with the values and thought process of what I was thinking. Something, I mean, like I said, a lot of it's similar in how we view and how we fell in love with the movement. But something that's new for me to say would be, he has so much information out there that we can access and learn from. And it's super important that, in my eyes, like how he wants to serve others and care, like he cares about informing people on a variety of different topics. And then knowing his credentials of having all his degrees from MIT, it's like he's not just anybody spitting information out, like he's legit. So I really, really like that. There's nobody else out there that does that gives, information. It's just like, what can you do for me? What can you do for me? And he's not like that. He's spitting out information left and right of things that we can do to better ourselves, to better the communities that we live in. So that's where I really kind of jumped on board, is just the next thing I clicked on from him. It was, another piece of information that that could, benefit me or give me information to share to others to help them out. So that's my big one.
That is awesome. Thank you so much, Abigail and Tony. It's very inspiring. So we will go, let me try to remember my order here. We'll go to Phil. Phil, same question. How did you first get involved in the Truth, Freedom, Health movement? What was motivated you to join, and why you became a part of this?
Well, I stumbled across Shiva on YouTube, and I believe it was when he was doing the Elizabeth Warren thing, real Indian against a fake Indian, which I love that. And I was like, who is this guy? So yeah, it was by accident, honestly, because I'm not a really political person. And so I watched some of his stuff, and then over the next couple of years, so I subscribed to his channel so you get notifications, and I check out some of his health videos, and I just liked what he was saying, and he seemed to be really honest. And just his background with MIT and that stuff. And then I think in 2020, I started watching stuff about the pandemic and that. And I just liked his perspective. And that's when I signed up for the Warrior Scholar thing. And he just speaks the truth, And yeah, I was in, I was in. And the systems approach, just the scientific approach to things, some of his live things, I really appreciated how much he swore, because people who swear tend to be more honest. And yeah, I mean, it's been great.
Thank you, Phil. I agree wholeheartedly with a lot of that. We're on the same page for that for sure. And we'll go to Barry, Dr. Barry.
All right. Yeah. I didn't tell you in the beginning. I forgot, but I am a dentist, and so several years ago, I was asked to give a talk as they were going to mask up all the children in Kearney again for another round, and I was asked to talk, and I wasn't real into that, so I used Dr. Shiva's video heavily as a source of information, and it went great. Several years ago, I kind of went on a big long hike trip out in Colorado, and being away from all the media and searching, to get the truth and going down all those rabbit holes. I found over the course of about 5-6 days that I broke the addiction of listening to all those. I mean, I could tell you the story about the trip. It was amazing. But when I come back, what I really would, if somebody has something that is true, like point me towards it, I'd like to hear. Otherwise, I really don't want to listen to most of the things I used to listen to. And I find that Dr. Shiva's information, I like it. I mean, he even did one on periodontal disease. He did a pretty darn good job for somebody who's not a dentist. So I see him as a source. I trust his information. So I enjoy him.
Thank you very much, Barry, for that story. I remember when I first called you and met you and you told me that. It made me so excited. And that made me excited locally. You were fighting for the kids and to get rid of the masks. And I know that it was our movement that nationally got that mask mandate dropped. Nobody will ever get us credit for it, but we did, we wrote to every school board member in every single state, and we let them know that they were not going to be able to avail themselves for qualified immunity because we provided the science from that lecture that you're speaking of, that you've also found that Dr. Shiva did, and those white papers that he did about the oral microbiome and how that affects the immune system. And we let them know we were going to go after them in their personal capacity. And about 3 days after we had mailed out one of the larger counties nationally, that is when the CDC released that kids no longer had to, because like adults didn't have to wear it, right? But kids were still being forced, like you said, and that had to stop. So thank you for that story. And then we'll go to Mary. Oops, sound. Sorry, Mary. We tap the screen and then.
Sorry. So my journey has actually been a lifelong journey. I was raised to make a difference, be involved. So in my workplace, I was a steward. I was a petitioner. I led a campaign, worked in the bylaw committee, and became the president. And at that point, I got kicked out of the union because the good old boys really don't like to do their job. Good old boys and girls club, actually. It's not just the boys. So, and the international upheld that. So I got to step into a lot of garbage and learn some processes. So when I was taking care of my mom, I started hunting for information and found Dr. Shiva and liked him. And my mom had passed. I ran into Crystal Blessing at the farmer's market, and she was petitioning, and I said I wanted to help. So I've been helping. I helped on the Nebraska and Iowa successfully both petition. And then I'm a lecturer in Nebraska, a presidential elector, and part of that lawsuit as well. And I knew when I found it, he was real. And I can't think of anything more than truth, freedom, and health that's important to all of humanity. So that's my passion in life. So I'm in the right place.
I would say so. Me and Mary have a joke going back and forth about who was luckier when they found who. So I remember meeting her and I asked her to sign the petition. And she said, well, who's this candidate's full name? And I said, Shiva Idure. She goes, do you mean Dr. Shiva? And I said, yes. And she's like, oh, well, I've been looking for you. I said, look no further, because, that's like music to my ear. Everyone else on this call knows that, during that time, I was like, oh, if we could just find, some go-getter. And that definitely was Mary. She ran circles around me the entire time. So she gave me for my money. It's totally a godsend. Ski, for the sake of time too, is there anything you'd like to elaborate on besides me forcing Dr. Shiva videos down your throat every day, all through the pandemic, going crazy? Or
Dr. Shiva is a staple in our house. It's a fact. I do love him for the fact that he does speak the truth and historical truth and current truths. He'll go into history and he will speak facts, not just the things that people have been taught by, or they may be teaching in books or college or things that they publicize, but real history. I love history, so that always interested me. But yes, in our house, Dr. Shiva would be played from morning until night. There'd be videos and discussions in the background, and just listening to it constantly was good, because it was someone who was willing to speak the truth when so many times today the truth isn't being told. And he always spoke it. So it was real easy to obviously listen to and follow and just learn by obviously osmosis and being around it so much, and which led to, helping out with the movement and helping out with presidential races and things of that nature. That's all I have.
Yep. Thank you. Yes, it's been a long, going on 5 years now. All we do is listen. And I do think that you're a good history buff, Ski. So it's definitely true. Like Dr. Shiva does talk about a lot of things that others don't, and from a perspective of like untold history. So great. And Trey, I know you're facilitating this, so thank you. Obviously, Trey, our son, is very involved. And Ski, good job, because Ski became a warrior scholar and he took the course on his own. He didn't log into my account. So I was happy he kind of did it on the sly. And then I caught him. I'm like, oh, good, you're doing it. So Trey, yep, and Trey does a lot of background video work for Dr. Shiva. So and he's been listening, and he's gone through the Warrior Scholar program too. And we will go on to our last question here. And of course, we'll start with Abigail. And thank you, everyone, for your great answers. What role do you currently play in the Bottoms Up movement for truth, freedom, and health? Can you tell us about accomplishments and how you're making a difference?
Well, like I said, last November, we decided that we were just going to do what we could to help out here in Nebraska. So the first thing that we did was Tony ordered the bumper stickers, because we heard it over and over on the podcast we would listen to of Dr. Shiva. He's not asking for donations or things like that, but he's asking for people to actually do something, not just throw money at a cause, but actually get involved. So the first thing we did was like, well, we can get a bumper sticker. That's a small step. So we put those on our vehicles last November. And at the same time, we also ordered a yard sign for election season, which is out in our yard right now, proudly displayed in Hastings. So maybe we'll get a few more votes from our yard sign that we have at our house. And then last December, we had a meeting with all of you talking about starting to collect signatures in Nebraska to get Dr. Shiva on the ballot for when we vote. And Crystal said at that time, we need to get 2,500 verified in Nebraska, and 4,000 was our goal, just to make sure that we're plenty over the mark that we need. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, that seems like such a huge number. And I was like, what can I do? I was like, I'm a mom. I have a ton of kids that I'm running around to all of their activities. I'm coaching my own kids. I'm coaching other people's kids at CrossFit and adult CrossFit classes. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, but I decided I'm just going to do my best to try to collect as many signatures as I can, because like I mentioned earlier, like you might as well try to do something, even if it doesn't seem like a lot, or it doesn't seem like it's making a big difference, it actually can add up. So starting last December, I collected signatures and collected about 1/5 of what we need in Nebraska. And so I'm really proud of that, because I feel like if I can do it and help out with, 4 kids and everything that I have on my plate, I got a lot, and I just kind of buckled down and chipped away and was able to really contribute to the signature count that we needed here in Nebraska. And so unfortunately, the Secretary of State here in Nebraska did not put Dr.SHIVA on, even though we did get enough signatures that were verified in Nebraska. We actually did get it accomplished. And so there for a couple weeks, it was like the end of September, I called the Secretary of State's office lots of times to try to get a clear answer of what was going on, why he wasn't put on the ballot, even though we got enough signatures. I called the Attorney General's office several times, and then eventually helped Crystal and several other of you here file the lawsuit against the Attorney General and Secretary of State and some other employees there for keeping him off the ballot, and us as electors as well, because I'm an elector here in the state as well. And then since probably September, whenever the cards came out, I've been going around putting them on vehicles and things like that at football games, primarily in the parking lots, and handing out the cards for Dr.SHIVA to write him in his name here in Nebraska.
Awesome, Abigail. I'm sure kind of the same thing for you, Tony, but I'm going to ask anyways. What role are you currently playing in the bottoms up movement? I know a big part of it is, supporting Abigail as well. Can you tell us about accomplishments that you've done and how you're making a difference?
I mean, yeah, she nailed a lot of things, most of them, but I would go around and collect signatures as well. Or when she needed to go somewhere, I would stay and watch the kids, and we'd kind of trade on and off with that. While one was going collecting signatures, the other was hanging out with the family. And then another thing besides that, there's the flyers that cost of living going up, life expectancy going down. We took those with us when we went on like a trips with us, and would put them, leave them like on a table or stuff like that. We actually handed one to a pilot that we saw in the airport. He just asked me or saw something that we had and asked about something, and then he might be interested. So just trying to give those out. I try to have discussions with a lot of people, just even at my work with stuff like that, just to try to spread the word, and have discussions with people on social media, and just send them Shadow the Swarm videos that Dr.SHIVA has created, and try to get the exposure out of what's really happening behind the scenes. So, yeah.
Awesome, Tony. You guys are the powerhouse couple. And thanks for everything that you guys have done. It's super inspiring. I'm sure that you guys had so much success because of the discipline that you guys have to use in your daily lives, not just for work, but how you run your household. And so it probably fit in naturally at some point when you guys are like, okay, how are we going to carve this out? And so I'll go back, just same question to everyone. I hate to reiterate, but it helps. Phil, what role do you currently play in the Truth, Freedom, and Health Bottoms Up movement here in Nebraska? Can you tell us about some of the accomplishments along the way and how you're making a difference?
I would say, well, I'm a presidential elector, and I'm basically a Shiva pusher. I've had spent a lot of time in the cockpit, obviously. And so that's a lot of time for conversation and you know, politics is something that kind of comes up, but yeah, I ask if they've heard of Dr.SHIVA and you know, just give them the information, you know, give them the website, send them videos. So I've been a kind of a video pusher, sending them off to friends and family, just trying to get the word out. A lot of people, you know, and I've been doing that for a while, well before the presidential thing, because I believe he speaks the truth, you know, about health stuff too, especially through COVID. Through that time, I've only been at Southwest for 1.5 years, but during that time I was flying medevac, so I was flying COVID patients throughout that whole thing for 2 years, and there was some serious fuckery going on, at least from my perspective. You know, it just didn't seem right, the lockdowns and everything, and the more stuff he put out about the health, I really tried to get those videos out to people. And I would say I'm not doing enough, and I told you that yesterday. So, but I do believe in Dr.SHIVA, and I do believe in this movement. It needs to come from us. Nobody's going to save us. We have to save ourselves.
Yep, Phil. So you spend a lot of time in the air, and a lot of times you're not even in Nebraska. So it was great that we pinned you down today. You have been part of the movement for a long time, so you understand this isn't just about the election. You know that there's going to be plenty to do after this. Phil is one of the presidential electors. He's part of the lawsuit we have here in Nebraska when the Secretary of State illegally took us off of the ballot, even though we had fulfilled all the requirements to the T. The Secretary of State admitted that verbally and in an email, and sent us the documents showing we did everything we needed to do. So we're going to have a lot of fun with this lawsuit. We've had some fun going back and forth, and we'll just continue to do that because it doesn't cost us a dime because we're not hiring anyone. So we're learning how to do that ourselves. So it'll be fun. And I'm sure you guys are enjoying getting the stuff in the mail. I'm like, oh, what's this say this time? So I get the text message, I got something in the mail. I'm like, I'm sure. So we'll go to, I think it's Barry next. Barry, what role are you currently playing in the Nebraska Bottoms Up movement? And can you tell us about your accomplishments and how you're making a difference?
Well, Crystal, I think I would be the example of every little bit helps. So I figured it out that, you know, if Abigail and Tony collected 10% of the signatures, I collected 6.2% of their 10% anyway. So I did help with that and passing out those cards. You know, we've been doing that. And then if it comes up in conversation, I don't search it out. But if people are talking about, you know, the current elections and things, I just share with them. I said, have you heard of Dr.SHIVA?
No, that's perfect, Barry. I know being in the office, helping people is usually what you're doing. And then you're traveling, you know, to further your work, which is probably why I would like to come see you someday and bring my family to you, hopefully way before you retire, because I always tease you about that. And so, you know, it does matter. Every little bit does count. And that's why anybody watching this in Nebraska or wherever you're from, you can do as much as you want, or you can do as little as that your time allows you to. And we do have like a Space Force team. It's very important to pass Dr.SHIVA's videos around. It's huge. Sending people to shattertheswarm.com right now is pretty much where it's at. That's a good place for everyone to start, because if shattertheswarm.com, and then you can start the new Get Off the Plantation course. That's totally free. And usually when people get off on off the plantation and they've gone through that course, they're ready for the Warrior Scholar course. It kind of moves you down the journey that basically all of us on this call has gone through, except maybe Mary, and we'll go to Mary next. Mary's journey is slightly different. It's a little reversed from everybody on here, but that's okay. she became active really quickly and came into the movement at a time where we were meeting a lot of deadlines, and she just jumped right in. So Mary, the question for you too is, what role do you currently play in the Bottoms Up movement? Tell us about your accomplishments and how you're making a difference.
Well, I think I said a few things earlier as far as the presidential letter and those things, but the thing that's most exciting to me is that the people can do it. So the fact that you can get signatures, you volunteer, nobody raised for a party, it's, and then you follow the rules. It's like, oh my gosh, how do you hold your state accountable? How do you make it happen without the money and by the people? So I've been so in love with that part of it for people to encourage them. It's like the people can do it. You can be a part of doing it. So I encourage them to go to the site, because it's like there's all different levels of where people are at in their life, to find a place where they can do a little bit or a lot of it or whatever. So for me, right now I'm focused, because the election's coming on the cards a lot. So I've been finding some gem places to get a lot out. So like a lot in a day. And I just feel that it's like, it's a gift. So I'll say to people, I'll go, hey, can I give you a gift? And most people are very accepting of a gift, because I believe it is a gift. And then I'll say, it's your right to know, so then they're most thankful and for the work. And sometimes they'll want some information. So sometimes it'll be a lot of information because the next person, and I'll go in a parking lot, there'll be a car way over there, and I'll go, that could be the person. So it's kind of like, I feel like when I'm passing somebody, sometimes they're sitting in the car, I said, I don't really want to bother you, but I feel like I can't pass you up, that you should know this too. And so I've looked at it that way, in a sense that, who am I to keep it from them? If I've got a gift, and it should be theirs, and they have a right to know. So that's kind of how I've been doing it. So sometimes I go quite a few hours in a day, and I found some good places. Like I did the hospital parking lot one day. I find the malls parking lot sometimes, and just work the whole thing. And you can get a lot out that way on the cars. And I find that people don't throw them on the ground. So because I'll see them and I say, oh, I put that there, so they have the opportunity to know about it if they want to. But if they're walking into a restaurant, I'm walking out, I stop them. I say, hey, and they're thankful. People. And today there was a couple ladies going down the street with Trump, and I said, hey, I got something for you. I'm driving, right? And I pull over because I'm heading home, and they go, what? And I said, she goes, oh, maybe he'll want to work with Trump then. I said, no, I don't think so. I said, that's what they all do. And I kind of explained this, how they kind of gather in together and move us back towards the two. So they took a few. So the other thing I found is that when people are really interested, I said, do you want a couple for your friends? Because I don't necessarily have a friend that's actually out there with me. So I just recruit people along the way to give access to the cards to their friends. So.
Well, great, Mary. I'll get out there again with you soon, I promise. I know we don't have much time, but we're going to make it happen.
Right, that's about it.
Yep, Mary's really, really, really getting on the ground with those cards. And so she's out there so much that I think when she's putting them on cards, she's inevitably going to run into people. And so she's like, well, I'm not going to just not speak to them. I'm going to give them a card. So it's really, really cool to hear her stories at the end of the day. So thank you, Mary, for all your hard work. And we'll wrap it up here to you, Ski. What role are you currently playing in the Bottoms Up movement for truth, freedom, and health? And can you tell us about your accomplishments and how you're making a difference?
My role is, support for Crystal and for Trey, and to support Dr.SHIVA, of course, and his run for presidency. I mean, it's extremely impressive. Just all of these people all over the United States volunteering their time. I mean, it's amazing. If people aren't amazed by it, then I don't know what they would find amazing. You know what I mean? The fact that it's bottoms up, that it's people out there that really care about the current state of the the current state of the nation, the current situations that we're in, and trying to make a difference and speak the truth while doing so. So I mean, it's a completely amazing. My role through the whole thing is obviously, like I said, support. And I've gone and collected signatures with Crystal and collected signatures with Mary, and gone to Iowa and gone to Des Moines and traveled with her to try to get these things accomplished. And it's, I mean, I just think I tell everybody that it's extremely impressive that all of you people on the call and that everybody around the nation volunteering their time, spending their time, collecting thousands of signatures, talking to tens, hundreds of thousands of people, and witnessing it all. I mean, it's just an amazing event, and I felt great, and I am blessed to be a part of it. So it's an amazing thing. Currently, right now, yeah, just playing with Crystal on what's next through November, through election time, and getting out more cards, as Mary and everybody has said, and just creating the awareness. And then, you know, after November passes, it'll just be what's next, because it doesn't end. You know, it's the whole thing is a movement. It's educational. It's about speaking the truth. It is exactly what it is. It's about truth, freedom, and health. And who can't get behind those three things?
Yep. Thank you, Ski. And thank you for all of your support. Physical, mental, financial support in making things happen, whatever it may be. So yeah, we have a lot of cards out, and you know, Ski is helpful in getting those cards for me to get out. So Trey, and we'd like to thank you too, Trey, for facilitating this evening, and for always, you know, getting Dr. Shiva's content out there so we can all watch it on his platforms. Everybody, we really thank you for all the work. Please don't ever think that it's not enough. It's really what makes it all, you know. And of course, thank you for everybody who forces their situation to go the extra mile as well. I know that's, you know, what you're talking about, Ski, watching all the people who've come in the movement over the past 4 or 5 years. And then people who are newer, you know, like Mary. So Mary's going to take the Warrior Scholar program, right? Mary, she came in, and most people usually go through this journey where they hear about Dr. Shiva, they go through the courses, they go through this journey, and then they start to become active because their consciousness has been raised. Mary's consciousness was already really raised, and she just got on the ground and started working. And now she's going to go to the theory and maybe kind of weave it all together. And I'm very thankful, Mary. I know that you're newer, but we had an immediate connection. I know that had a lot to do with caregiving, because I gave for my father for 8 years. You took care of your mother for 9 years, and we lost our parents around the same time. And we found out, you guys, that after we started hanging out, that our parents actually knew each other from a day program. It was so wild. So we met each other for so many reasons. And yeah, but that's what this whole movement is about. You'd be really surprised who you might meet by getting the word out there, and those new relationships you can make from that. And I'm very thankful for everyone on here. I love my state. I love the people in my state. We are real salt of the earth people. And so, yes, go Nebraska. And I really thank everyone. Thanks for sharing all your stories and inspiring others today. We'd like to thank everyone for supporting Shiva for President. To take the next steps, visit shattertheswarm.com and go watch that video. Find out how the few control the many. Second step, sign up for our free Get Off the Plantation course. We offer 20 videos designed to raise your consciousness to help you break free from the system that controls you. So there's nothing holding you back, right? Just go watch those 20 videos. I'm sure people are wasting their time watching other junk. And then number 3, become a warrior scholar, take the warrior scholar program, learn how to fight. This is where you'll learn how to fight effectively and become a system scientist equipped to lead. And 4, join our town hall. We do this every Thursday. So we host town hall and an orientation at 11 a.m. Eastern and at 8 p.m. Eastern. So this is, to accommodate as many schedules as possible. We have the earlier in the day and the evening, and this is your chance to meet others and other great leaders across the country and actually the world. We're in over 150 countries now. And then, of course, you get to speak to Dr. Shiva directly, and he's very gracious with his time there. And 5, get your card, no matter where you are. So we have cards in all different languages. Right now, obviously, we're in the United States, we're in Nebraska. So we have the English card that we're handing out. But as Trey's showing you on the website here, you can get a card in any language that represents your area. We have so many cards. Obviously, in the United States, we use a lot of the English, a lot of the Spanish, but somebody could be watching this eventually from somewhere. We have a card for you. And this is not just about a presidential run. This is about a movement for truth, freedom, and health. And this is just somebody that I would love to have for president. But it is more of a vehicle. This is how we win. We define win in our movement. So together we will continue to build this movement from the ground up. And thank you again, everyone, for being a part of this conversation. And let's keep fighting for a better future. Thank you, everyone, so much for coming. I know you guys are great. I know you guys know I mean that too. So yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone. And thank you, Trey.
Thank you, Crystal and Ski and Trey, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice, thank you.
Who would have ever thought I'd be running for president of the United States of America? I was born a low caste untouchable in India's caste system, a system of aristocracy, oppression, and racism. My name is Dr.SHIVA Ayyadurai. I'm an MIT PhD, a Fulbright scholar, a scientist, engineer, entrepreneur, and inventor. My family and I left India to come to America on my 7th birthday. I grew up in the working-class neighborhoods of New Jersey, playing baseball, mowing lawns, painting houses, and coding software. My friends and neighbors are blacks, Italians, Irish, people of all races. As a 14-year-old, I wrote 50,000 lines of software code to create the world's first email system and was awarded the first U.S. copyright for email, recognizing me as its official inventor at a time when copyright was the only way to protect software inventions. I did that long before I ever came to MIT, revealing that big innovations can occur anytime, any place, by anybody. Growing up, I saw politicians dividing us by race and religion in both America and India, to have us fighting each other while they remained safe in their gated communities and in their playgrounds of Hollywood, Martha's Vineyard, and Silicon Valley. I'm a fighter. I fought racism and exposed their imperialist wars, fought for workers, and put my life on the line against global corruption. I never wanted to run for political office. All that changed when I saw working Americans as never before being duped by the establishment and the not-so-obvious establishment. Across left and right, we were being sold out and made to forget why we came to America and why America existed. Lawyers, academics, billionaires, celebrities, and politicians, elites, Clintons, Kennedys, Bidens, Obamas, Bushes, black and white have hijacked America. They printed trillions for their friends. They delivered crumbling infrastructure, corruption, and racism. They've transferred trillions to themselves, dividing black and white, fear-mongering, and fake science. Lockdowns and censorship, dirty air, food, and water, pushing drugs upon us, making us sicker. We've been sold out. One set of rules for them and another for us. We deserve a warrior with a history of courage in putting everything on the line for you, who believes in you, not them, who has created a movement bottoms up for truth, freedom, health. I've exposed their lies at the right time, never waiting until it was popular. I've exposed their false gods who exist to lead you back to them. I've exposed their fake science of lockdowns and masking and provided you solutions to fight them and win and protect your immune system, saving millions. I exposed Fauci, galvanized the Fire Fauci campaign when others remained silent. When they stole our election, we sued the government and Twitter in our historic 2020 federal lawsuit, exposing in bare view the government and big tech censorship infrastructure, the unholy alliance between government and social media companies. Where was Elon and his grifters? They stood by the sidelines and did nothing. They did not use their megaphones to help us when it could have made a big difference. Now our movement grows for truth, freedom, health, independent of all of them. Every day, millions are learning the science of systems, the knowledge the elites do not want you to have, so you may learn how to think, stand up, and fight, independent of the establishment of left and right and their fake heroes. Now it's time for you to join the movement, to win back America, to win back truth, win back freedom, win back your health. That's why I'm running for President of the United States. This race is about you. This race is about truth, freedom, health versus power, profit, control. We've had enough. They think we'll fall in line and vote again for their lawyers, celebrities, billionaires, and chosen ones from above. We choose our heroes from below, from the rank and file, who do what is right at the right time, not when it's convenient and popular. They can never represent us. What America needs is a movement by the working people, for the working people, who are educated, organized, decentralized, and fight for independence from their systems of control. And that movement exists. It's ready for you. We don't need them. We need us to go bottoms up, neighbor to neighbor. My journey, your journey are all the same. It's our time. It's time we had one of us. It's time to win back truth, freedom, health, to win back America. Be part of this historic movement all the way to our victory on November 5th, 2024. If you're an American citizen, pledge your vote now for Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, the independent candidate for U.S. President. No matter where you live, you can be a part of this. Volunteer as little as 20 minutes a day. Don't delay. This is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, and I approve this message, paid for by Dr. Shiva for President. We have allowed our country to be taken over from within, and the end goal is you will have a homogenized world where we will become slaves, because there is a condition among the elites that really thinks they're better than you, deep down inside them, that you don't deserve the freedoms you have. They don't. This reality is what people need to wake up to, and we need to all unite working people. There's only one movement that can do that, and that is the movement that we started creating here in Massachusetts, the movement for truth, freedom, and health. Look, I've been a student of politics since I was a 4-year-old kid, studying revolutionary movements, left wing, right wing. There's a physics, there's a nuclear science to destroying the establishment. To build a bridge, you need to understand Newton's equation. You need to understand the laws of gravity. You need to understand Poisson's ratio. There is a way to build a revolution. And that's why I put this together. My goal is to train an army of truth, freedom, and health leaders. We don't need followers like social media. We need leaders, but they need training because the educational system does not teach them history, nothing. So in 3 hours, that's what I've started doing. That's the solution. We got to train people. First, with understanding what a system is, the dynamics of all systems that affect nature. The second is understanding the interconnection between truth, freedom, and health. Freedom is the ability to move freely, communicate freely, talk freely. Without freedom, you cannot convert ideas, hypothesis into truth, which is science. And without freedom, you can't really get to truth. And without truth, you make up fake problems and fake solutions, which means you destroy our health. And without health, which is the infrastructure of us and our body, you can't fight for freedom. Truth, freedom, health. Third concept is it has to be bottoms up. Working people, people who work uniting. And what the right wing has done is whenever you say working people unite, that must be communist. Meanwhile, they've let the Democrats run unions, which suppress workers, completely corrupt. But when you look at the arc of American history, it's been when working people came up. We need to go local. Every solution I'm coming up with as a part of this movement, we're giving the science, which is the truth, and then we tell people what they can do on the ground. Like with election fraud, you don't need to wait for some lawyer. Our goal is to train people to go local, to go local, to go local. Fight locally. Forget lawyers, forget politicians, forget celebrities. You got to learn politics, and there is a science to it. They lock us down, we should be ready to shut them down. And the fourth part of this principle is the not so obvious establishment. So when you look at a system, there's always something that disturbs you from getting to your goal. Well, the biggest disturbance is the not so obvious establishment, which are those people who claim they're for you, on the left and the right. The Al Sharptons who tell black people I'm for you. The Tucker Carlsons. Do you think any true anti-establishment person will ever be on Fox or CNN? I don't think so. They both mislead working people back into the establishment. Without this solid understanding of political physics and theory, you're screwed. You're going to follow on the left wing Bernie Sanders. Oh, he said something. Or Robert Kennedy. Scumbags. Or you're going to follow some right-wing talk show host. They're not going to lead us to liberation. It's us. We're building a bottoms-up movement, and that political physics, it's a nuclear science of change.
bottoms up. We have to organize to understand that there is people who talk a good game and then look at what they actually do, left and right. I'm sorry, Sean Hannity may say some good things, but I don't see the urgency in his voice to get something done. And it can only come when you weaponize yourself with the right knowledge. You need to be able to identify a rat. You know, Christ didn't go after the Romans, right? It was the Pharisees and the Sadducees who screwed him up. His own quote unquote people. And that's where we're at. So these 4 concepts I've built into a curriculum where people can go to truthfreedomhealth.com, and it's an educational program. We need to train people in political theory. You need to have physics, and I've created that curriculum. People need to get educated. We need to get educated fast. And within a half an hour, I can teach people. 2 years of MIT control systems, I teach people those concepts. Then I apply it, anyone can understand it. And then you say, oh, I got to build a bottoms-up movement. They have to get politically astute, and then they have to go locally and act, not sit there on social media. They have to act locally, defy locally, do civil obedience locally, but with knowledge on how to build a movement. Now, the Senate campaign's expanded to the Movement for Truth, Freedom, and Health, and they can find it on truthfreedomhealth.com, so people can sign in, they can get access to a bunch of videos. If they want to take a course and become a Truth, Freedom, Health leader, I offer a full scholarship there, but we want people to make a commitment that they'll study, that they'll get certified, that they'll go do activities on the ground. So go to truthfreedomhealth.com.